Guys, we got breaking news coming off the press. Look like the Cleveland Browns has found their next head coach. Guys, I got a whole nother video just set to come out. It's uploading right now. And what's crazy about all of this is that this news is hot off the press. Literally just came out 3 seconds ago. So it looked like they had their man, they had their guy, and this one just caught everybody by surprise. Cleveland Browns been sending out fake smoke signals.
Breaking news coming from the NFL. The Cleveland Browns are set to hire Todd Monken as their next head coach. That's the latest from our NFL insider Jonathan Jones and Matt Zenitz. Monken has served as the Ravens offensive coordinator for the past 3 seasons. He's also had stints as OC with the Browns and the Bucks. It'll be his first head coaching opportunity at any level. Monken will take over a Browns team that has won just 1 playoff game this century. Our Jonathan Jones also reporting that Monken is expected to enter Week 1 with Shedeur Sanders as his starting QB.
Shedeur Sanders finally have a head coach who's going to develop him and turn him to the next best quarterback in the NFL. The Cleveland Browns officially hired the former offensive coordinator, 2-time college national championship winner as a coordinator at Georgia, Todd Monken, as their next head coach. This is huge because they wanted to draft Shedeur Sanders, and word is Todd Monken was all in on Shaduer. So in Shadeur's favor, this is going to be great because he's going to be able to develop him, work with him this entire offseason, and he will be the QB1 going into 2026 with this hire. And of course, as you know, he worked with Lamar Jackson with the Baltimore Ravens. But this is huge for Shedeur Sanders. Breaking news, the Cleveland Browns found their head coach.
The Cleveland Browns just shocked the entire NFL, and nobody saw this coming. While everyone was chasing smoke signals and fake rumors, the Browns pulled off the most secretive hire of the 2025 coaching cycle. Todd Monken, the 59-year-old offensive mastermind who turned Lamar Jackson into an MVP machine, is now heading to Cleveland. And here's the twist that has the football world buzzing. This could be the perfect setup for Shedeur Sanders to dominate the league in 2026. Adam Schefter broke the news just minutes ago, and even Cleveland's own media got caught completely off guard. No leaks, no whispers, just a straight power move that has everyone asking, did the Browns just quietly win the offseason?
This post has just come out about 3 seconds ago from Adam Schefter. This is gravity. You know, John Mayer, gravity. That's what this is right here. Of the 8 head coaching jobs to be filled, only 2 went to candidates with no prior head coaches experience. The Ravens with Jesse Minter and the Bills with Joe Brady. The rest all had previous head coaching experience. Todd Monken and Jeff Hadley at the college level. And John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski, Robert Slay, and Mike McCarthy.
Listen, I'm not even going to sugarcoat this for you. This hire came out of nowhere. Like literally 3 seconds before the video you're watching right now, Adam Schefter dropped the bomb that changed everything for Cleveland. The Browns are hiring former Baltimore Ravens offensive coordinator Todd Monken as their next head coach. Let that sink in for a second. Todd Monken. The guy who had Lamar Jackson cooking defenses for breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 3 straight years. The guy who was supposed to be heading to the New York Giants as their offensive coordinator. That guy? Yeah, he's now running the entire show in Cleveland. And if you've been following the Browns coaching search like I have, you know this is insane. Everyone thought they were going after big names. Everyone thought they'd bring in some recycled head coach who's been through the ringer 5 times already. But nah. Cleveland played chess while everyone else was playing checkers. They sent out fake smoke signals, kept their mouths shut, and bam, they got their guy without anyone knowing a damn thing. Now here's where it gets real interesting for us. 8 head coaching jobs needed to be filled this offseason, right? Out of those 8, only 2 went to candidates with no prior head coaching experience. The Ravens with Jesse Minter and the Bills with Joe Brady. Everyone else, they all had previous head coaching experience. Todd Monken and Jeff Hadley at the college level, and then you got John Harbaugh, Kevin Stefanski returning to jobs, Robert Saleh, and Mike McCarthy. So the Browns could have easily gone the safe route like everyone else, but they didn't. They took a calculated risk on a guy who's been grinding as an assistant coach for 37 years and never got offered a head coaching job until now. Let me ask you something. Does that sound like desperation to you? Or does that sound like the Browns finally did their homework and found the one guy who can develop a young quarterback from day one? Because let's be real here, if Shedeur Sanders is coming to Cleveland in the 2026 NFL Draft, and trust me, the rumors are loud right now, then this hire makes all the sense in the world. Todd Monken doesn't just call plays, he builds quarterbacks. He took Lamar Jackson, a guy who everyone said couldn't throw, and turned him into one of the most dangerous dual-threat QBs in NFL history. Under Monken's guidance, the Ravens' offense ranked in the top 5 for points per game in 2 out of his 3 seasons. Sure, last year they dropped a bit, but let's keep it a buck. The Ravens dealt with a mountain of injuries. You can't blame a coordinator for that.
Shout out to them. Mary Kay might have knew because she got an article that's solid, ready to go. It says former offensive coordinator Todd Monken will have a chance to come back and do things his way this time around. Monken, 59, who ran the offense here in 2019 under Freddie Kitchens, but didn't call plays, has been hired as the Browns' 19th full-time head coach, replacing Kevin Stefanski. Fixed after the season he was hired, coming off 3 successful years guiding Lamar Jackson.
Now imagine what Monken could do with Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback who's already polished, a guy who can read defenses like he's solving a Rubik's Cube, a player who has that swag, that confidence, that it factor that you can't teach. Pair that with Monken's offensive schemes? Bro, the league better be scared. I'm talking MVP caliber potential from year one. And if you think I'm hyping this up too much, stick around because I'm about to show you exactly why this hire is about to change everything. But first, let's talk about how this whole thing went down. Because the way the Browns pulled this off, that's a masterclass in organizational discipline. Yo, shout out to the Cleveland Browns front office. I don't care what anyone says about them. They executed this hire flawlessly. Mary Kay Cabot, one of the most connected Browns reporters out there, had an entire article ready to go the second Schefter dropped the news. That tells me one thing. They knew. The insiders knew. But they didn't say a word. In today's NFL, where everything leaks, where reporters are refreshing their phones every 5 seconds trying to break news first, the Browns kept this hire locked down like it was a CIA operation. Nobody knew. Nobody. Not the fans, not the media, not even the other teams in the division. And that's how you know this was serious. When Jimmy Haslam, yes, that Jimmy Haslam, the owner who's been clowned for years for making questionable decisions, when he can keep something this massive under wraps, that's growth. That's maturity. That's a franchise that's finally learning how to operate like a contender. Now let's get into why Todd Monken specifically, because I know some of y'all are sitting there like, okay, cool, he was a good coordinator, but does that mean he's going to be a good head coach? And that's a fair question. Coaching and coordinating are two completely different animals. But here's the thing, Monken has been preparing for this moment his entire life. 37 years as an assistant coach. Let me say that again, 37 years. This man has been grinding, learning, studying, adapting, evolving, and paying his dues while other coaches got opportunities handed to them. He's coached at every level, high school, college, NFL. He's been in the trenches. He knows what it takes to build a culture, develop young talent, and win. And here's the part that has me hyped about this hire in relation to Shedeur Sanders. Back in 2019, Todd Monken was actually the offensive coordinator for the Browns under Freddie Kitchens. Now, that season was a disaster, we all know that, but here's the catch. Monken didn't even get to call the plays. Freddie Kitchens was calling the plays himself, and we all saw how that turned out. So Monken never got a fair shot to prove what he could do in Cleveland. He was handcuffed. But now he's coming back with full control. He's the head coach. He's calling the shots. He's building the offense his way. And after 3 years of watching him turn Lamar Jackson into an absolute weapon, I think it's safe to say he knows what he's doing. Imagine this scenario. It's April 2026. The NFL draft is happening. The Browns have the #1 pick, or maybe they trade up to get it. Shedeur Sanders' name gets called. He walks across that stage, puts on the Browns jersey, and boom, he's immediately paired with Todd Monken, a coach who specializes in quarterback development, a coach who knows how to design plays that maximize a QB's strengths, a coach who's patient, experienced, and has been waiting his whole life for this opportunity.
To me, with Shedeur Sanders, his confidence, ability to throw the football down the field, and running the football, they're going to have to go get a real receiver #1 to pair with Jerry Jeudy. But I love this hire already. I think Shaduer will really lean into this style of offense.
Kind of like, I love what you're saying here, because you're focusing in on why this hire is a good one for the Cleveland Browns, not who they didn't get, not, oh, is this a sexy enough one? Oh, what do the Cleveland Browns fans think of this? Are they going to win the press conference?
Bro, that's a recipe for success. And if you're a Shaduer fan, like most of y'all watching this, you should be ecstatic right now. Because this isn't just a good hire, this is the perfect hire for what's about to happen next. Now, I know what some of the haters are going to say. Todd Monken is 59 years old. He's too old. The game has passed him by. He's not going to connect with young players. And to that, I say, are you serious? The man just spent 3 years coaching Lamar Jackson, one of the most electrifying young players in the NFL. You think Lamar would have thrived under someone who couldn't relate to him? You think the Ravens would have kept Monken around if he couldn't adapt to the modern game? Come on now. Age ain't nothing but a number when you've got the resume and the results to back it up. Plus, let's talk about what Monken brings to the table that most first-time head coaches don't. He's not coming in here trying to prove himself. He's not going to make rash decisions or panic when things get tough. He's been in the league long enough to know how to handle adversity, how to manage egos, and how to keep a locker room together. That kind of experience is invaluable, especially when you're trying to rebuild a franchise and develop a young quarterback at the same time. And here's another thing that's flying under the radar. Monken's offensive philosophy is perfect for today's NFL. He's not stuck in the past running outdated schemes. He's creative, he's aggressive, he's not afraid to take shots downfield, use motion to confuse defenses, and put his playmakers in positions to succeed. If you watched the Ravens offense the past few years, you saw how dynamic they were. They could run the ball, they could throw the ball, they could beat you in a million different ways, and that's exactly what the Browns need. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Shedeur Sanders, because I know that's why most of y'all clicked on this video. You want to know how this hire affects Shadeur's future in Cleveland. And honestly, I think this is the best case scenario for him. Think about it. Shaduer is coming out of Colorado, where he played in a system that let him sling the ball all over the field. He's used to having freedom. He's used to making plays. He's used to being the guy. And if he ends up in Cleveland with Todd Monken as his head coach, he's going to have that same freedom. Monken isn't going to put him in a boring conservative offense. He's going to let Shaduer be Shaduer. He's going to design plays that showcase his arm talent, his decision-making, and his leadership. And that is what separates elite quarterbacks from average ones, having a coach who believes in you and lets you play to your strengths. But here's where it gets even better. Monken's has a track record of developing quarterbacks who can do everything. Lamar Jackson is a prime example. When Lamar first came into the league, everyone doubted his ability to throw. But under Monken's coaching, he became a legit passer. He improved his accuracy, his touch, his deep ball, everything. And if Monken can do that with a quarterback who was labeled as a running back playing QB, imagine what he can do with Shedeur Sanders, who's already one of the most polished passers in college football. This is the type of situation that turns good quarterbacks into great ones. And if Shaduer lands in Cleveland, he's going to have every tool he needs to succeed. A proven offensive mind, a franchise desperate to win, and a fan base that's hungry for a championship. That's a recipe for greatness, my friends.
From an organizational standpoint, knowing like, okay, we got someone, but like,
Well, pump the brakes a little bit, because what do coaches always try to convince their teams of? We're the underdogs. Nobody picked us. Well, this is a situation where if you want to lean into that underdog mentality, be like, well, this is the guy that chose us. And there was a bunch of guys who didn't. So when I'm in that team meeting as a player on day one and I'm hearing Todd Monken speak, I'm like, this is the damn guy that chose me as a player, and the guy sitting next to me, and the guy sitting, and our quarterback, who everybody's pointing their finger at. So I'm excited for this group, and I'm glad you mentioned Njoku as well, because he's bringing another bad joker to the huddle as well, and Harold Fannin.
Now, I want to address something real quick because I know there's going to be some pushback on this. Some people are already saying the Browns just hired a guy who's been an assistant for 37 years and never got a head coaching job. That's a red flag. And look, I get it. On the surface, that sounds concerning. But let me flip the script for you. Maybe, just maybe, the reason Monken never got a head coaching job until now is because the NFL is a copycat league that constantly recycles the same names over and over again. How many times have we seen failed head coaches get hired somewhere else just because they have experience? Meanwhile, guys like Todd Monken, who've been putting in the work and getting results, get overlooked. But the Cleveland didn't overlook him. They saw what he did with Lamar Jackson. They saw how he transformed the Ravens' offense. They saw his potential, and they made the move. That's not a red flag. That's smart business. And let's be honest here. The Browns could have easily hired another big-name coach and played it safe. But where has that gotten them in the past? Kevin Stefanski won Coach of the Year and couldn't get them over the hump. Freddie Kitchens was a disaster. Hugh Jackson went 131. At some point, you got to try something different. And hiring Todd Monken? That's different. That's bold. That's the kind of move that either makes you look like a genius or a fool. And I'm betting on genius. Here's another thing that's got me excited about this hire. Monken is an offensive-minded coach, which means he's going to be heavily involved in developing the quarterback. He's not going to hand that responsibility off to some random OC and hope for the best. He's going to be the one in the film room with Shaduer. He's going to be the one game planning. He's going to be the one making sure Shaduer has everything he needs to succeed. And for a young quarterback coming into the league, that kind of hands-on coaching is priceless. Think about all the great young QBs in the league right now. What do they have in common? They all had coaches who believed in them from day one. C.J. Stroud had DeMeco Ryans and Bobby Slowick. Brock Purdy had Kyle Shanahan. Jalen Hurts had Nick Sirianni. The common thread? Those coaches built their offenses around their quarterbacks. They didn't try to force their QBs into a system that didn't fit. They adapted. They adjusted. They maximized their QB's potential. And that's exactly what Todd Monken is going to do with Shedeur Sanders. Now, I know some of y'all are probably thinking, but what if the Browns don't draft Shaduer? What if they go in a different direction? And to that I say, why would they? The Browns are in desperate need of a franchise quarterback. Deshaun Watson has been a disaster. The fans are fed up. The organization knows they need to hit the reset button. And Shedeur Sanders represents the future. He's got the talent, the pedigree, the leadership, and the confidence to turn that franchise around. Pair him with Todd Monken, and you've got a combination that could dominate the league for the next decade. And here's the real kicker. This hire happened now, not after the draft, not after free agency, now. That tells me the Browns already have a plan in place. They know what they're doing. They know who they want. And if Shedeur Sanders is available when their pick comes up, I'd bet my life they're taking him. So where does this leave us? The Browns just made one of the most underrated hires of the 2025 coaching cycle. They brought in a guy who's been grinding for nearly 4 decades, who's proven he can develop elite quarterbacks, and who's hungry to finally prove he can lead a team as a head coach. And if Shedeur Sanders ends up in Cleveland, this duo could be special. We're talking Pro Bowls, playoff runs, maybe even a Super Bowl down the line. The pieces are falling into place, and it's all starting with Todd Monken. But here's the thing, not everyone sees it that way. The doubters are already out here saying Monken is too old, too inexperienced as a head coach, and that the Browns just made another classic Cleveland mistake. And honestly, let them talk. Let them doubt. Because when Shedeur Sanders is slinging touchdowns in a Browns uniform and Todd Monken is getting Coach of the Year votes, those same people are going to be real quiet. So here's what I want to know from you. Do you think Todd Monken is the right guy to coach Shedeur Sanders? Or do you think the Browns just made another classic Cleveland mistake? Drop your thoughts in the comments because I want to hear everything. Are you hyped about this hire? Are you skeptical? Do you think Shaduer should go somewhere else? Let's talk about it. And if you're still watching this video right now, that means you're locked in. So do me a favor, smash that subscribe button and turn on those notifications so you don't miss any of the latest updates on Shedeur Sanders, the Browns, and everything happening in the NFL. Because trust me, this story is just getting started, and you're not going to want to miss what happens next. The Browns shocked the world today, and honestly, I think this is just the beginning. Todd Monken is about to prove everyone wrong. Shedeur Sanders is about to take the league by storm, and the Cleveland Browns, they might just finally have their guy. What a time to be alive, bro. What a time. Subscribe now so you don't miss the next chapter of this story.